I'm Eun Lee, an associate professor for the internal medicine, Yonsei University of South Korea. And I'd like to share our study on the registered clinical trial trends in East Asia and the United States from 2014 to 2024. This study is conducted by the supervision of the Professor John Ioannidis of the Stanford University. East Asia, including China and Japan and South Korea and Taiwan, its geographics, the closeness and economic similarity has become a major hub for clinical trial. The many previous studies are often based on the ClinicalTrials.gov database, but we need to understand all these clinical trials in East Asia by reviewing the data, both the ClinicalTrials.gov local and also the local East Asia local registry. So the aim of this study is to investigate the trends in registered clinical trial over the past 10 years in East Asia and compare to them those performed in the United States. We extract data from the ICTRP, International Clinical Trial Registry Platform, which integrate the information from clinical.gov as well as 19 local registry. It contains China and Korean and Japan registry also. Taiwan's local registry, TPIDB, is not included in the ICTRP, so data was extracted directly from the TPIDB website platform. So we include all phase and all recruitment status for study registered between 2014 and 2024. We also carefully removed the duplication and the hidden and visible duplication. We classify the trial by registry type, the clinicaltrial.gov versus the local registry, and study type, observational and interventional, and the RCT and the versus non-RCT, and location is domestic within one country and the international. And the target sample size small, that means that fewer than 100 participants, a medium to 100 to 500, and large target sample size is above the 500 participants. And for disease categorization, we use the mesh terms and applied PubMed BERT, a language model trained on biomedical literature to automate the disease categorization of the ICTs. Here is the result. You can see the left side graph is total trial number, and right side result is RCT numbers. It's for the past decades. So as you can see, China is a red color, and the orange is US, and blue is Japan, and violet is Korea, and the green is Taiwan. So as you can see, the red color China experienced rapid growth, surpassing Japan in 2017 and the United States 2019. The trial numbers peaked at over 20,000 in 2024. Japan peaked in 2017 with around 5,600 trials and has gradually declined in 3,800 trials in 2024. And Korea and Taiwan showed more modest increase, but also slight reduction after the pandemic period. The United States, the orange color, showed peaked in 2020 with about 10,000 trials, largely maybe due to the COVID-19 related study, then declined slightly, and 9,000 in recent years. Except for China, most countries showed mild post-COVID decline. And when we focused on the randomized clinical trial and ICT, we observed a similar pattern. China's ICT number increased rapidly, peaking at over 9,000 in 2024, while the United States registered about 4,400 ICT in the same year. So this slide showed where trials are registered and where they are domestic or the international. Top two colors is registered clinical.gov, and bottom two colors register their own local registries. So we can see the left side is China, and then Japan largely registered their trial on their own registry. CHICTR is a Chinese clinical trial registry platform. And in Japan, it's 84% is registered on the JPRN, Japanese Primary Registry Network. And the South Korea is a half registered ClinicalTrials.gov and half registered their own the registry CRIS. And then Taiwan, the small percentage, 3% they registered on their registry. And the international or domestic trial, even though the China is a very huge number of the clinical trial and ICT, only the 140 ICTs in 2023 is account of the 1.8%, less than 2% is the international one, and rest of the trials are the domestic trials. And at the same year, the U.S. Has around the 600 ICT, the international ICT is accounted 13%. Looking at the sample size, we found that for the domestic ICT, the left side graph, the trial shows the orange areas involving fewer than 100 participants were the most common. For the international ICT, the right side graph, the medium-sized trials shown in green color area involving the 100 to 500 participants were the most common. However, it is important to note that many small trials remain unregistered, so that this underreporting may distort the observed distribution. By disease category, we found that neoplastic disease, red color area, and then the cardiovascular metabolic disease, it's yellow color area, is dominate across the whole 5 countries. And in the United States, infectious disease, the circle, the coral color area, increased sharply in 2020 from 5% to over 12%, reflecting the surge on COVID-19 research, and decline again by the 2023. And this highlights how global health crisis can shift research priority globally. And also in the United States, mental disorder ICT account for about 15%, it is higher than the rest of the East Asia country. Here we can see the trends in prospective registration. We defined prospective registration as the trial registered completed within 30 days of the starting date of the trial. And we can see overall, the yellow color is US. The prospective registration rate have increased over the past decades, and they are even higher for the ICT. Right side graph is ICT, is over the 85% in recent years. And then Japan and the China is around the 75% for the ICT for the prospective registration. And as a Korean, it's very disappointing result because the Korea is the lowest rate, about 56% in 2024, even for the ICT. And both Korea and China, the red color and violet color, have shown a relatively sharp decline in previous 2 years, in 2023 and 2024. And in summary, over the past decades, China has surpassed both the United States and Japan in total trial and ICT numbers. While the China has continued growth, other countries, including US and Japan, Korea, Taiwan, has declined slightly in recent years after pandemic. And China, Japan predominantly registered on the trial on their local registry, CHI, CHI, APRN, and China still has a few international trials, less than 2%. Local registries still face the challenge such as missing data and inconsistent formatting and language problem and unclear trial completion status. So we cannot find how the studies report properly because we cannot know this trial is completion or not, or the date of the completion date. To improve accuracy and global transparency, it's essential, I think, to enhance standardization and integration across the local registry, also the worldwide. Yeah, thank you for the attention. I'm happy to take the question. Thank you.
We're going to move to question, please. Christina Wee, Annals of Internal Medicine. I may have missed this, but in your ClinicalTrials.gov registries, were they all in the WHO approved registries?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked that because I worry about duplication in registering. Okay.
But Taiwan is not included, so we extract the Taiwan database from the PIDB.
Any other questions? Online question.
This is actually an in-person question,
Oh.
masquerading as an online because no one's active yet. Oh, there is an online coming in, but my question for you, there are many markers of trial quality, many different studies, size, author groups. I'm wondering if you had any information on trial quality within region in the trends you described.
I see only the international and domestic trial because China and East Asia still has fewer international trial with the multi-nation, and so they are only their domestic trial and own their local registry. So I'm not sure this is high quality or low quality. This is the only information I see.
Okay. And Bahar Maimani from Elsevier asks, do you see a specific set of China affiliations among that less than 2% registering in the international registries?
Yeah.
So Chinese trials in US or international registries versus regional ones?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. The international registry is not mean the China PI. Is for maybe the US PI and is conducted mainly, the PI is the other country. So international, the trial means that it's not, the PI in the China. It's conducted in China, but it's international. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Please.
Hi, Nick DeVito, Oxford. I'm curious, as someone who spent far too much time clicking through the Chinese registry in my time and knowing that they also very recently launched a dedicated registry just for traditional Chinese trials. I'm wondering if you had a sense of what percentage of Chinese registrations were looking at traditional Chinese interventions versus more Western allopathic interventions.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Nick. But I'm sorry to I don't know that yet about that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions? Perhaps one question from me. Did you look at the funding source of the trials?
Yeah, we wanted to check the previous study, like the industry or the not academic, but we cannot contain the information but we checked it.
Okay, thank you. And another question. So in the US and in other countries, the number of trials is stable or even going down. Do you think it's could it be because investigators are trying to look at other types of study using routinely collected data and because now we've got access to high level routinely collected data?
Yeah, maybe it increase actually, and also it explained it registered clinical trials increase, I think. Yeah, because the registration is more important. So there are lots of observation or other studies conducted actually, very small study, but I think the registration rates also the increase over time, I think.
Another question?
Chris Winchester from Oxford Pharmagenesis. Was just interested in what incentives there might be for registering trials in China. So we've heard about maybe it could be globally a prerequisite for publication or for getting a drug approved. Are there similar incentives in China?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for your question. I don't know much about the China guideline, but in South Korea, and I think there's a similar in China and Japan. For the publication policy, it requires the pre-registration and under registration trial. It is most the incentive for the researcher because they have to publish their data on the journal, but they require more and more the pre-registration and registered trial number. So many Korean doctors also has the pressure to register the trial because they have to publish the results later. So it's most, yeah.